Check out this harness, guys. So this is the engine sensors, mil spec right here, locks into place. And then across the board, everything's twisted and labeled. Right here, you got engine coolant temp. Here we got injectors, starter, crank pressure, I believe. Yeah, so crankcase pressure, fuel, MAP, VVTi, and then they just need to finish heat shrinking these all on, and she's almost ready to install. This thing looks really freaking nice. And then built in over here, you can see this Deutsch connector is set up for 6 more injectors in case we need them. So we got the 6 injectors and then extra injectors just in case. Well, the wiring is still deeply underway. There's still a ton left to do. Thankfully, the guys doing it are freaking beasts. And we are just tearing into it. I'll show you some of what they've been working on. So take a look. There's the ECU in place. There's a couple pass-throughs going to be on the firewall. There's going to be this grommet pretty low down for a bunch of these wires. There's a bunch of unterminated stuff that goes into the car and into the ECU for all of the body stuff. And then we're working on the keypad stuff. We're working on sensors. I got to start putting a bunch of sensors in place right now. We are also adding a fuel level sensor. So I have a fuel level sensor there, but it's never been wired up. So we're going to wire that. That'll be cool. And let me just explain some of the new stuff that we're putting in here. So Rife Sensors hooked it up with a huge amount of new stuff. So the new sensors that we've never ran before are shock sensors, a pre-intercooler IAT sensor right here, and a post. We've always ran the post, but we'll run a pre one now. A back pressure sensor, sensors for coolant pressure, sensors for crankcase pressure, oil temperature we've never had before. In here we have stuff for the transmission. This is for temperature and then also for pressures on the trans, which is all new. We've never had that before, so that'll be nice. And then there's like a bunch of just like random other new sensors that we've never ran, like brake pressure, all kinds of cool stuff like that. There's a list I have, but it's extensive. So this will be nice to have all this new data that we've never had before. Finally, you know, we've wanted it for a while, but finally got it. I just love the way that these like boxes work. It's like a sensor box. You just wire into there, and then you have 2 temperature sensors here and 2 pressure sensors built in here, but it just makes it nice, clean, and simple. And then it comes with a bracket to bolt it to the transmission. So you just drop the trans, unplug the one wire, and call it a day. It's even got stickers for what you need, you know, depending on what you're using this for. If you're using it for like pan vac, you know, map sensor, H2O, so water temp probably, all kinds of good stuff. So we're going to be wiring this up pretty soon now too, and I got to start putting stuff on there. We even got things like a 7-bar map sensor, a couple of, that's a 150 PSI sensor, a 1600 PSI sensor. This is for something like nitrous or fuel pressure, or no, nitrous pressure. This guy, like a fuel pressure one, coolant pressure, 3-bar map sensor. So you use this for like your crankcase pressure, another 150. Yeah, so that's pretty much the extent of it. And then here we got a liquid temperature. So this is for like coolant temp on this one. All right, doing a little swapping here. So 150 out, IAT sensor out, map sensor out. Fresh ones are already in. Just gonna keep on doing that one after another. It's actually more time consuming than you would think. you going? Where you going, CG? All right, so I haven't updated you guys, but JR and me worked on the wiring. 98% JR worked on the wiring until 3 a.m. last night, and now it's about 9:30, and Alpha is on the computer, you know, in a different place, and he is just loading up stuff. This ECU is really cool because the car's off right now, but there is still power to the ECU. Like, the computer can give it a little bit of power to, you know, give it a little bit of juice to change the software on it. Not the software, change the tune-up on it. So we're gonna go through all the inputs and outputs, make sure everything works before we even try to start it. I'll show you guys the wiring in a little bit, but this ECU is so freaking cool. It's got a PDM built into it, so there is not really fuses and relays all over the place because everything's built into the ECU for the most part. A couple things like the fuel pump, and even like you can see the smooth stage is still there. The ECU can handle the bump, but I'm so used to the smooth stage that we just decided to leave it in. Maybe we can take it out. Maybe we'll take it out eventually, we'll play with that, but it's just one pin. All you have to do is change the pin at the one of the connectors, and you switch between the ECU controlling the bump and the smooth stage controlling the bump. So, something to play with. There's the buttons, and those are all of like everything we'll need for the car right there. And then starter and ignition are up there. So pretty awesome. I'm stoked. Can't wait to dial this in, define everything. The dash is in. It's got the motion mount on there, and they even made me a custom 3D printed mount for the screen. I'm pumped. It's awesome. It's so freaking nice now. I can't wait to show you guys everything. All right, so Alpha's been logged into the computer. He's been remote tuning this thing for like, I don't know, like 4 hours now. Just going through the sensors, configuring it all, configuring all the buttons, the screen, making sure everything works. We're still kind of trying to figure out a few things. Then we're gonna test everything, make sure the coils and the injectors all fire, and then we can do first startup. So we're getting close. I put the bumper and fender back on. The bumper now has that new support back there, so now when I'm going super fast, the support will stay, keep it intact. Headlight back in. I need to plug it back in. Wiring somewhere down there. Laptop over here. Let's get Alpha fired up into there. I need to mount the switch panel, and I need to mount the smooth stage, and then be ready to go on my end. All right, well, it's running. Look at that. Heck yeah. All the things are happening. We got battery, air temp, injector duty, manifold pressure, throttle position, coolant temp, all the good stuff. Well, it has been a freaking marathon on this thing. So it has oil pressure, and now it's time to put it on the dyno. So not tomorrow, but Thursday during FL2K, like always, me and Alpha will be at the dyno, you know, first thing in the morning. That's the tentative plan. Hopefully that works out, but we'll see. So, car somewhat ready. I'm all cut up, but this thing was a freaking marathon at the end there, as always. So, ready to get this thing on the track. Whew. All right, it's time to go edit and go to bed. The past 2 nights, not to get on my soapbox here, but the past 2 nights I've been up until 3 a.m. on this car, and you know, I have a 9-month-old child, so I'm not sleeping until noon. I am back up at 7. So yeah, now it's midnight, and I'm gonna go do some editing. But whew, thank you guys so much for watching. I know you guys like car videos. I like car stuff too, but you know, sometimes the videos just get repetitive, and repetitive content gets boring. And yeah, well, let me get off my soapbox. I'll see you guys at FL2K. Oh, also, if you're on your way to FL2K or anything like that, check out the podcast we did on the Bogetti Studios channel where we did the pregame. I had James Tall, ProMod Jim, Doug Cook, and Brett LaSala on there, and we just kind of went over the whole shebang, and it's always fun to do. So go check that out too. Link is somewhere, maybe.